Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and as I promised in yesterday's episode of Mingles with Jingles, we've got a pretty spectacular game for you today here in World of Warships. They've just announced a new feature on the World of Warships portal, the monthly Hall of Fame. And one of the members of June's Hall of Fame was this guy, GDDR4 in the Yamato, who managed to score more damage in a single battle than anybody else in the month of June. And today we're going to be watching him as he does it. Now, a warning, this is actually a patch 0.75 replay. And I don't have the 0.75 client installed on my PC. However, I know a community contributor who does, so thank you to Pointy Haired Jedi for actually capturing this video for me. However, there are a couple of replay bugs that you're going to see in this video. At several points throughout this battle, you're going to see what appears to be GDDR4's guns firing at targets that the guns aren't even pointing at. There's not a lot we can do about this, unfortunately. This is just a relatively rare replay bug in World of Warships, but, well, it's going to be on display in this video. At several points, you're probably going to be sitting there thinking, for God's sake, point your guns at the target. He is actually pointing his guns at the target. It's just for some reason the replay hasn't quite caught up. And the guns will fire, and the shells will appear to leave the gun barrels at a very unexpected angle. But it's just a replay bug. Related to this bug, there's also another bug that you're probably going to see when he is zoomed in and aiming at a target, and it doesn't look as if the gun aiming indicators are on target, but the guns go ahead and fire anyway. Again, it's the same bug, just viewed from a different angle. So be prepared. At several points throughout the course of this battle, it's going to look like there's something very strange going on. Anyway, Tier 10 battle, obviously, he's in the Yamato. And he also has the Isoroku Yamamoto captain on this ship, and you'll see his special effects coming into play at certain points throughout the course of this battle as well. But there are lots of battleships in this match, only 3 cruisers per team. Both teams have 2 radar cruisers, which is bad news for the 4 destroyers on each team. The good news for the battleships is that there is at least no aircraft carrier. But this is still going to be a pretty tough match for all of the battleships, not just because of all of the destroyers running around, but with 5 battleships on each team, and none of them tier 8, these are all some tough opponents, and the enemy team do in fact have a slight advantage in that one of their 2 tier 9 battleships is a Musashi, which is basically a tier 10 battleship in all but name. The Musashi, of course, is the premium Tier 9 Japanese battleship, and it's the sister ship of the Yamato, and its stats are more or less exactly the same as the Yamato. It has the same armour. It has the same amount of health. Its guns are almost the same. They're the same 18.1-inch guns, although they're not quite as accurate as on the Yamato, but they can still overmatch the bow armour of any battleship in the game, just like the Yamato can. The disadvantages of the Musashi are the reduced accuracy of the guns compared to the Yamato, and the very inferior anti-aircraft firepower, although that's a complete non-issue in a game where there aren't actually any aircraft carriers. Now, as I mentioned earlier, GDDR4 does have Isoroku Yamamoto as the captain of his Yamato, and the 2 advantages associated with having this special, unique Japanese commander on board your ship are that if you get the First Blood achievement, you get an additional charge for each consumable mounted on your ship. Oh, hold on a second. Nice Yamato-sized gap in between the torpedoes there. But GDDR4 is not going to get the First Blood achievement. That's already been taken. One of the enemy destroyers has been sunk. So, good news, bad news. He's not going to get the Concealed Reserves effect, because First Blood has already been taken, but that's one less destroyer for him to worry about. Another set of torpedoes coming in, and he's probably not going to avoid all of these. So rather than taking a torpedo on the bows, where it's almost certainly going to cause flooding, he starts turning the ship to take it on the torpedo bulges, where it doesn't cause flooding, and only does around about 7,500 damage, thanks to the torpedo damage reduction. Now he's not spotted, but the enemy Kagero was just lurking on the far side of that iceberg. Now it's not exactly clear at this point just whose torpedoes they were. They could have been the Kagero's torpedoes, they could also have been the Gearing's torpedoes, and it could be that the Kagero still has a torpedo launcher in reserve. And we know he's lurking on the far side of that island, so GDDR4 launches his catapult fighter to try to get eyes on any threats on the far side of the iceberg and starts turning away. If any torpedoes were launched at him while he was spotted, he should easily be able to avoid them here, and yep, sure enough, there's the Kagero. just having a good old lurk around the side of the iceberg, waiting for the first big, dumb, stupid battleship to blindly nose around the corner. Now he's heading away behind the iceberg, which means one of either two things. Either he knows he's been busted, or he's already fired off those torpedoes with nothing better to shoot at, and there wasn't much chance he was actually going to be able to get those shots over the island, but there was nothing else for him to shoot at, so he took a go. And again, you can see the replay bug in action here. It didn't even look like the guns were pointed in that direction. Unfortunately, that's just something we're going to have to live with in this particular battle replay. Now we know that Kagero headed off in the other direction and was being engaged by the Kid, and the Kids just managed to avoid a whole bunch of torpedoes which were probably fired by the Kagero. And it's at more or less this point where up to the north, the Minotaur gets himself deleted by the enemy Montana. And having been sunk, he's now decided that the best thing he can do for his team is to start calling them all a bunch of noobs in chat. However, if you do take a look at the minimap up to the north, you can see that the Yamato who was with him is in a pretty desperate situation. He's about to eat a whole lot of crossfires from the Grosser Kurfürst to his north, and the Montana to his south, and the Zhao who's with him appears to be backing off, because he knows what's good for him. And if he tries to give any fire support to the northernmost Yamato, he's going to be exposing his position and giving broadside to the enemy Des Moines to his southeast. Speaking of enemy Des Moines, here's the other one. And this is why people like to play the Yamato. So satisfying. And the guns are quite accurate. And these guns are such large caliber that they will completely overmatch the bow armor of every other ship in the game. Standard procedure in a battleship, unless you want to receive an almighty paddling, is when you're under fire from another battleship, you turn your bows towards them to tank them with your bow armor. But that does not work when the battleship shooting at you is a Yamato, even if you are in another tier 10 battleship, like the Montana. Ooh, sneaky torpedoes ahead. And he spotted them too late, so yeah, he is going to flood. Took two of them on the bows. So you have to use your damage control for that. I mean, you can afford to let a fire burn in a battleship without blowing your damage control, but a flood, you have to get under control. And that very angry looking smokescreen up ahead looks like it's sheltering a Neptune. And it does actually manage to score a hit, but it's sadly just an over-penetration. That's actually quite good news, the fact that it's the Neptune, and those were almost certainly Neptune torpedoes. The Neptune can launch 2 sets of 4 torpedoes from each side. Because after blowing his damage control, the next logical step is to set you on fire with high explosive. But the Neptune is a British light cruiser, and they cannot fire high explosive, so that's actually pretty good news. Oh, that's really bad news for the Musashi, though. Yeah. And the Musashi was angled, but, well, has exactly the same armour layout as the Yamato. And the point where I think the Citadel was caused was when one of these 18.1-inch shells crashed right through the cheek of the bows, just underneath the turrets, and that's actually quite a notorious weak spot. Here comes the second salvo. And yeah, it'll do. And that Musashi definitely needs to die. He's trying to recover his health. Actually, this was a massive missed opportunity for the enemy team. All of those enemy ships up there had the perfect opportunity to cause huge amounts of damage to GDDR5 as he was turning away from the Neptune smokescreen, but not one of them pointing their guns in this direction. So GDDR5, anxious to make sure that they sink the Musashi, fires his front 2 turrets against him, and saves the rear turret for the Montana to the rear. Oh, and there's that Neptune again. Momentarily, at least. Now he's gone again. Both teams are down, 5 ships. The scores are pretty even. Both teams hold 1 capture point. Oh, hello. There's the Neptune. And he is about to ground himself against the iceberg. Now he's gone undetected. But GDDR5 did have a target lock at the point where he fired. And that is one massively lucky Neptune. Wow. So, the situation. Well, those are almost certainly Neptune torpedoes aimed at the Lion. But the enemy team only have 1 destroyer left. And while GDDR5's team are about to lose one of their Tier 9 battleships, the Iowa, to the enemy Des Moines, their Shimakaze is about to even the scores by sinking the enemy Z-52, so the enemy team no longer have any destroyers, and GDDR5's team have 3. Given how battleship heavy this game is, you'd think that would be quite an advantage for Giudimacara's team. However, we're in the middle of a cyclone. View range is limited to a maximum of 8 kilometers, which means those 3 destroyers have to get within 8 kilometers of a target to even see them in order to be able to aim their torpedoes. And the enemy team do still have a Des Moines, which could be, and probably is, carrying radar. But the thing about engaging in battleships during a cyclone is that when a target pops up, like that very, very unfortunate Montana, you don't really have an awful lot of time to angle your ship. Of course, that works both ways, because now Giudimacara has just popped up for the Iowa, and he's given him a perfect broadside. He's even so close that Giudimacara's secondaries are able to start shooting at him, and Giudimacara could have been in a lot of trouble here. But the Iowa's guns are not even pointing in this direction. In fact, he's turning around and heading back into the cover of the iceberg. He's able to get his rear gun turret firing, but it's not enough. It's likely that the Iowa thought, I'm going to sneak around the side of this island and get some flanking shots into this lovely cluster of enemy ships. But then Giudimacara popped up in a Yamato at that kind of range, and he crapped his pearly pink panties because he realised his guns weren't pointing in the right direction, and he decided, probably very wisely, to get the hell out of there instead, rather than waiting for his gun turrets to turn around while Giudimacara was reloading. Unfortunately, the enemy team do actually have a bit of an advantage now. They've managed to sink another ship, and they hold 2 of the caps. And those torpedoes are looking fairly nasty. They may be just about to sink yet another Tier 10 battleship. Yep, there goes the Grosser Kurfürst. It's now 3 against 5. Giudimacara's probably really regretting that he didn't get to sink that Neptune when he had the chance. And he's spotted again, which means there's somebody within 8 kilometers, and yep, it's the Iowa. And yes, he is now sailing broadside on to a Yamato, whose guns have reloaded, and Giudimacara's just waiting for the turrets to turn around. Yeah. Yeah, that is in fact a paddling, and the secondaries have set him on fire. Unfortunately, they've just lost yet another ship. It's now 2 against 5. Giudimacara really needs to sink this Iowa. And let's face it, he probably is. I mean, the Iowa cannot angle his armour effectively against the Yamato's guns. And Giudimacara can angle his armour against the Iowa's 16-inch guns. The only ship on the enemy team that could possibly have helped this Iowa was the Neptune. But the Lion, the only other surviving ship on Giudimacara's team, has just managed to sink him. So this is a party for 2. Nobody can help this Iowa. There are enemy ships to the north heading south, but because the cyclone is in effect, and they're further than 8 kilometers away, while they can see Giudimacara on the map because the Iowa is spotting him, he's too far away for them to be able to target him. And at some point this Iowa is either going to burn to death or be forced to turn because he was running into the map border, and either way he's dead. Now, with no threat to their flank, these 2 guys can turn around and deal with, first and foremost, the enemy Des Moines. But there is still a Grosser Kurfürst and a Montana heading south. And it's another beautiful target. Oh, this is going to hurt. Yes, that did indeed hurt quite a lot. Now, this Des Moines is in a very bad position. No matter which way he turns, he's going to be given broadside to a battleship. He's turning the bows to... Okay, so he's given broadside to the Lion. But you can't bow tank a Yamato. Hell, with 27mm of bow armour, a Des Moines can't even bow tank a Nagato, and that's tier 7. So there's another citadel right through the front. However, it's not looking good for the Lion. The Des Moines managed to finish him, but his only chance now is to go full speed ahead and ram Giudimacara, because he's burning, and Giudimacara has demonstrated that he can blast his citadel right through the bows of the ship. And I think that's probably what he's trying to do, but he just didn't have enough health remaining. So now it's 1 against 2, and there's the enemy Montana. Are you broadsiding a Yamato? Really? Well, okay. You know, if you must. Secondaries have set him on fire. GDDR5 is now up to 222,000 damage. Don't forget there's also an enemy Grosser Kurfürst steaming south at full speed as well. And this cyclone ain't gonna last forever. Then again, perhaps the Montana's thinking, well, you can't bow tank a Yamato, so I may as well get all of my guns firing. 251,000 damage done, and there's the Grosser Kurfürst. And GDDR5 has given broadside to him, and yep, the shots came in from the Grosser Kurfürst. Now at this point, that Montana should be trying to ram GDDR5 rather than offering himself up as a virgin sacrifice to these 18.1 inch guns. However, at the same time, that's a full health Grosser Kurfürst. GDDR5 only has 20,000 health remaining. This is his last heal. He's got 2 fires, and that's a full health Grosser Kurfürst. But he just scored a Kraken Unleashed, and he has Isoroku Yamamoto as the captain of his ship. So Yamamoto's second special skill just came into effect. This is called Second Wind. After you earn the Kraken Unleashed, the ship starts recovering up to 48% of its normal health over 2 minutes. And the guns now reload 34% faster. And he's probably also running the Adrenaline Rush skill. So while he's backing up and swinging the front turret around, while remaining angled against the Grosser Kurfürst, who is not angling against him, his main battery guns now have something like a 12-second reload. Now, the Grosser Kurfürst is a ferociously tanky ship. In fact, the player in the month of June on the Hall of Fame for the most potential damage received, no big surprise, was in a Grosser Kurfürst. And you're very, very unlikely to citadel one of those things at this kind of range, thanks to its turtleback armour arrangement protecting its citadel. However, that doesn't mean you can't do tons of armour-piercing damage. And when you have guns as big as this, firing every 12 seconds, firing at a target showing a massive broadside, at a range where even a battleship's guns are going to score more hits than misses, well, I believe we have a phrase that covers this kind of circumstances. Say it with me, boys and girls, as we wait for GDDR5 to swing his front turrets around, sailing broadside onto a battleship. That's a Paddlin. It's also 411,000 damage done. I have to admit, when I was watching this battle, up until the last few minutes, when GDDR5 was at a very respectable 200,000 damage done, which is impressive, but it's nowhere near being any kind of damage record, I was wondering, where's he going to get the extra 200,000 damage from? Enter stage left the Montana and the Grosser Kurfürst, who didn't exactly make things difficult for him. Still, that's not taken anything away from GDDR5's achievement. That is the most damage inflicted by anybody in a single battle in World of Warships during the month of June, and a well-deserved first spot in the World of Warships Hall of Fame. I wonder if anybody can beat that next month. I guess we're going to find out. In the meantime, GDDR5, thank you for persisting in sending this replay to me. Pointy-haired Jedi, thanks for actually capturing the render of the battle for me. And everybody else, I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.